Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at yet another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Episode number 395, Peter. We've done this 395 times. Yay.
Wow. You think we got it right yet?
I know I got it right.
Okay.
Here's today's title of this podcast. Extraordinary ways to use private money in creative real estate deals. All right. Here's the. I'm going to start to read the description, but I have to tell you, I'm going to read the description to you right now of this podcast.
Yeah.
So here we go. I forgot to tell you that part. All right, listen up, all my rookies. I know we have been talking a lot about doing creative real estate using the money the seller already has in the property. But what happens if you get a golden goose landed in your lap? A deal so good, it makes the Mona Lisa look like a coloring drawing book.
Ouch.
But our creative real estate strategies won't work. You just need all cash. Well, today we are going to today we are going to take this deal and spin it on its head and show you how to make a fortune off of it by using a real deal to explain it all. So this is not theory day. This is actionable intel. By the end of this episode, you will have the roadmap. Are you ready to unleash the power of private money in your creative real estate mindset? We know knowledge is power, but action separates the dreamers who are poor and the rich that get results. This is your chance. Listen all the way to the end, and you will use this wisdom as your secret weapon.
Secret no longer.
Interesting, right?
Well, it's funny. You don't talk about this very much, but occasionally that's what comes up. I mean, when you market for houses, you get what you get. And if it's not just a payment type of terms deal and it's something else that would work, well, we've done them. Like, that's too good to miss. So we do this other approach, which we will now explain. Right.
All right. So first of all, let's do the housekeeping. Excuse me. We record this podcast every Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to be part of the podcast, you can go to LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and wherever you find us going live, you're more than welcome to type us a question and wherever they allow you to type in the comment section usually. As long as it pertains to the podcast, it's okay. We'll answer the question. If you have a question about something else, then you'll have to either go to WhatsApp Messenger and look for Let's Talk Real Estate. There's 100 and something people in there that are like-minded people that have been in there for quite a while that either they or myself can help you. Or if you have a private message or a private question you want to talk about, not in a group, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side is a support link, and you can send us a support ticket. The thing to realize is that support ticket I used to check every day. Now I only check it a couple times a week. So it's a little bit slower than it used to be, but that's just because I got too much going on. Also, there's a bunch of free stuff on that website, so you should go check out the website. Okay, so also make sure you subscribe to us and subscribe to us and like us wherever you're watching us or viewing us, and leave us a comment. Okay. All right, Peter. So everything in my world is exactly what you just said a few minutes ago.
Oh.
I want to get this out of the way right away because there is nothing that supersedes the magic of being good in this business,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, what do you think that is?
Well, I think it is no matter what opportunity comes up, you have a way that you can make an offer, you can purchase it, and you can make money in it, helping the buyer, helping the seller. That doesn't mean people always just do what you ask, but you're never in a situation, and I'm probably not either because I've been with you so long, that somebody goes, here's the house, here's the thing, here's what I need. You go, oh, I can't do it.
Right,
There's always something we could do. So that makes it good.
right,
We don't walk away. Oh, we don't do that.
right. So, the secret of building an empire is an empire something you think our folks want?
Well, someplace empire and down, but up to,
Okay,
of
so let's
course.
put it this way: the secret of retiring early. Does that work?
Yes, that's
Okay,
specific. Yes.
retiring early means if you need $1,000 a month to live, then and you don't have to work anymore, or only have to work a few hours a month to do it, then you're in.
Yep.
If you need $50,000 a month, you could do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the secret of retiring early is regularity of transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, regularity of transactions.
Yeah.
The only way you get regularity. So what does that mean? Regularity.
Well, the flow of opportunities and business comes in routinely. It's not like fits in spurts.
Consistent deals.
Yeah.
Okay. You and I are working on, and I'm not promising this, but you and I are working on a program where I could actually teach you how to make 3 to 5 grand a week with real estate. And then that's eventually going to go up to how do you make 30 grand a month? And that's eventually going to go up to how do you make 50 grand a month? And then that's eventually going to go up to how you can make 100 grand a month. And I have not, these are not devised yet. I'm going to do something completely different with my way of thinking is I'm going to think out loud, meaning that I'm going to pick someone like you, and I have another friend of ours, and then I'm going to pick my wife, who keeps telling me she wants to do real estate, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So I'm going to work through the kinks and get you guys doing that, and then we'll bring it to other people.
Okay.
The point is that I feel like I'm at a point now where I could teach this because I have enough data and I have enough things. So the key to regularity of deals is outflow.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to outflow. What you're looking for is engaged leads. So engaged leads mean that they want to talk to you about a transaction.
Mm.
Now that goes back to what you were talking about before. When they talk to you, what you're going to do is you're going to find out what their needs are. So the core formula for us is find and talk to a motivated seller. Tell them what you do. Right. I'm going to break all this down here soon in a webinar. Tell them what
Mm-hmm.
you do, because tell them what you do is not that simple. You gotta do that a certain way.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's something in this house that has been making me sneeze. My wife and I sneeze for about a week. Anyways, you're gonna find and communicate to a motivated seller. Tell them what you do. Ask them what's needed and wanted for them to do a transaction, and then give it to them.
Mm.
Is step 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the core principle of what we're doing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
once you understand all that and this preliminary stuff that we just spent 5 minutes explaining a little bit too fast, those are a whole bunch of lessons in itself.
Mm.
The point is when you cast that net and you get an engaged lead, somebody that's willing to talk to you about a transaction, you have to know, just like a cook needs to know what knife to use,
Mm-hmm.
or an auto mechanic needs to know which wrench to use,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or I don't know, what else can you say? A doctor needs to know which scalpel to use,
Sure.
right? A dentist needs to know what tool to put in your mouth, right? Every one of these are the same. You need to have the right tool to do the right job,
Makes
which
sense.
is the 7 strategies that we speak of all the time,
Mm.
right? Which is the slot deal, a sandwich lease option transaction, which is like flipping lease options, an option agreement. Oh my goodness, I have to sneeze again. Hang on one second.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah. So go.
Woo.
So we had the slot deal, the option deal. There's rent to own. You can take subject to, take over the mortgage. And then you have rehab
Retail. Yeah.
wholesale, and then
then
the bottom
sell it.
owner financing. Financing. It's all dependent on the equity available possibly in the house. Like, do they owe the entire thing, or it's owned free and clear? It depends how much equity. They have some leeway to choose which deal might apply.
And equity means profit. Right. So equity is the amount of money they're getting minus what they owe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when we're talking to sellers, we don't want to talk about what they owe often. Right. Because we could take over payments or we can handle it some other way. What the seller's motivation is, how much are they going to get?
Yeah. Yep.
Or what relief are they going to have? Because if they're not getting any money and they don't want it, they just want off of it. They want relief. So it's either need or greed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. People can have problems with the house that they just want it gone. There may be no profit in the house, or so little that just fix this for me. I need to go, and it's too much aggravation. $5,000, $1,000, $10,000, $0. Just let me go.
Right. So what happens is this equity percentage predicates or guides us on what offers we should give them, because if they have a $100,000 house and they owe 90 grand, they're not going to want to hear about you giving them 70 grand. Not usually. Right. There are some that will, but it's not likely. That's a needle in a haystack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when we're making the offers, like we make the Grand Slam offer, which is a ridiculous offer that we can give to them, a $200,000 house, we can give them over 300,000, right? Usually it's about 70% more than the market value. And that's because they're going to wait 3 years for their money,
mm-hmm.
right? All the way down to owner financing. We did an owner finance deal. I think in the coaching group, one of the groups I did the other day, we did an owner finance deal, and we were able to pay 10 to 15% more for the property than what it was worth because of the terms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all that is like whatever. Okay, that's 394 podcasts before this one, right?
Yep.
The point in me telling you all this today is there's something that literally took me about 5 years to learn. And it's showing my dumbassness right now. It's showing you how I could be stupid, because all of us are. It's not just me. We all are, especially when we're dealing with something new and we're not familiar with it. Sometimes you have to do it over and over and over again before you can see you've been making a mistake for the last 200 times, right? So here's what happened to me. I learned from Ron LeGrand the Mayo formula, which is the maximum allowable offer, right?
Yep.
That formula is ARB, which is renovated value, right? After renovated value, times 70%, because 30% is your profit and all your expenses, minus the repairs. Leaves you with a maximum allowable offer when you're done.
Right.
Okay. That number, that math, I hardly ever do anymore. And the reason why is because I found, after doing hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands. Hang on one second. I got to blow my nose.
Yep.
After doing maybe thousands of these offers, I realized that they average around 50 to 55%. So when I'm talking to a seller now and they say they want, well, anyways, I'll get back to that. So here's what happens. We were doing those, or I was doing those just on renovations. Right?
That's
so I was doing them. If it needed repairs, I was just doing it on renovations. And then That's it. What I didn't realize, it took me 5 years to learn, is if it's a cash deal, you use the same formula.
Right. But there's a cash deal on a house that needs renovating, which you were doing. But what we kind of ran into is a cash deal of a pretty house that doesn't need renovating.
Which we just
Right?
use a standard $5,000 because every house takes $5,000. So we would just take,
Yeah.
it's a $400,000 house times 70% minus $5,000 is the maximum allowable offer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was pretty cool. So all of a sudden that kind of changed things.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that happened to me was we were at an event and I had a big realization that, wait a minute, I have been taught without knowing I had been taught, almost like I was brainwashed, which
everybody does it. Everybody
Yeah.
knows. That's the only thing everybody says. So you don't hear anything else or think anything else. You just go
Right.
along.
So what I realized is that I was buying, if I bought a house for cash, I sold it for cash. AKA, if I bought a house with private money, I would borrow the private money for 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to sell the house within the 12 months to pay back the private money.
Right.
Not realizing that I could actually get private money for more than 12 months. Never thought of that. Oh my God.
Well, I always thought that the private money was a bit expensive, 9, 10, 11, 12%. People pay more sometimes. And it might be too much to hold a house much longer than that. But
Right.
it just depends on all the numbers.
Right.
You have to do the math. If it doesn't work, you don't do it. But you're going to talk about a case today where you can borrow a certain amount and factor that into the equation, which you're going to explain, I'm sure, and it might be okay. So carry on, fearless leader.
So, so the next thing is I realized, okay, well, if I can borrow the money for longer than a year, and the way I do this is, believe it or not, with retirement funds. One of my lenders is in his mid-40s, and he worked for a big company. He put, I don't know, $500,000 or $750,000 in an IRA because he was a monster and made a ton of money.
No.
And the money's just sitting there doing nothing. It's earning interest, but not as much as he likes.
Sure.
So he can't use that money.
You can't if you take it out, you get penalties and all that. So people
Right.
leave it there until they retire and make it
Right.
big as they possibly can with as much profit.
So with that said, hopefully I kind of set up what we're talking about in this podcast, because this is what I just gave to you as a decade worth of hardcore, very expensive lessons that I just easily gave to you in the last 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So don't take them lightly. Don't take them simple. Take them as an advice from a very expensive
Lesson?
path of lessons for me.
Yeah.
So here we go. Doing exactly what we said. We got the net cast out. I get a phone call one day. Oh my God, I know what's the matter with my throat. My throat, my sinuses. Oh my God, I'm a wreck this morning. And I don't even feel that way, to be honest with you. So I get a call from a guy, a grouchy old guy. I mean, he was a total grouch, right?
Sometimes those are the best.
So, Rocky, no trouble. I see you're here this morning. We're just now getting into the meat of the deal structure. So you're in good shape. So this guy lives in, I don't know, Mississippi, Missouri, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Right. And he's a total, doesn't want to talk creative real estate at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't even want to talk. Never mind about the deal.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Bottom line is I go through my stuff and I comped this house at the time. It's more now. I still own the house for $260,000.
Mm-hmm.
His sister died. She was a writer. She was an author. His sister died and left him the house. She had no kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Connecticut. Long story short, this is what I'm talking about, the Mona Lisa coloring book.
Mm-hmm.
We haggle, and I get the house bought at 110.
Because it wasn't really worth the 260 because it was a mess.
Well, here's the problem. Her stuff was still in it, including her medicine on the bedstand.
It was worse than that. Here, to be gross, I was down there with you. We went to the couch in the living room, and you can see the blankets rolled up like where she was sleeping on them where she died. And it was still curled up and like, it was,
Yep.
it was pretty creepy. And it was old and it was a mess and it smelled bad. So it wasn't worth, ultimately 260, but not in the shape it was. So you got a good start at least, but you got him down to 110.
So I did the Mayo formula.
Yeah.
And now the next thing that happens is I call you and tell you I got this deal, right?
Mhm.
And then the next thing that happens is I had just done a couple of renovations and I was cranked up. I was just plain old pissed off at the world because I had a couple contractors that just couldn't seem to get their shit done. I mean,
Yep.
they were coming every day. They were just slow as molasses, and they would work for 10 minutes and sit down and take a break and work for 10, you know what I mean? So take a 15-minute break, work for 10 minutes, right? So this house is about 45 minutes, maybe an hour away from me on the shore.
Yep.
And I'm hesitant on buying the property thinking I'm just going to wholesale it.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden I have this epiphany. I'm driving home one day from the house, right? Because I had actually bought the house and went and got the keys and I went down and looked at it. And I'm smoking my cigar and I'm driving home and all of a sudden it's just like a wave. Like the spirits go through people on movies, like through walls and stuff.
It felt like that.
Yeah, right.
You were touched.
The first idea I got was, wait a minute, because the house needed, I figured $50,000 in renovations.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it wasn't the 50 grand that bothered me. That didn't bother me at all because I knew I had I had put it in my math already, right?
Mm-hmm.
What bothered me is doing a $50,000 renovation could probably take me 14 years the way I was going with these other guys. And I didn't want to hire another contractor. I didn't want to, because I just didn't want to deal with all that, right?
Yep.
So I thought to myself, well, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll sell it as a handyman special. Because it all worked. It was just old. And this is one of the first deals we did this, which we talk about it all now, right now, like it's like no big deal. But this was 5 years ago. And I know that because I'm going to tell you that story in a minute. I just had to rewrite the loan. I've had the property for 5 years, last July.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys give me a hard time. I had to just refinance it. But the point is this. It's been 5 years. So I decide that what we're going to do, and you help me sometimes by just letting me walk through, talk through it. Because I don't always know exactly what I want to do until I work my way through it, right?
That's thinking out loud.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what we finally ended up doing. I decided, per your suggestion, we should do a prehab. So you want to tell them what that means?
Well, yeah. I mean, this particular house, it was actually a big house. It used to be probably was a mansion once upon a time. It kind of looked like one, but old, And,
was built in 1880.
Yeah. Very nice, but kind of beat. It was an older woman and, she couldn't take care of it. So personally, I just look at something like that and I go, ugh. I just have to make it look nicer. It just grosses me out. So why don't we just clean it up, make it look nice, and at least it's presentable and doesn't throw people off and doesn't smell bad and it'd be easier to sell. I mean, I've done that. You used to sell cars. You might sell them as is, but you damn well clean them, right? You make them look decent.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just that.
So we went in.
It's prehab. It's before, rehab.
Rehab. It's before rehab.
Yeah, just get it
so
ready.
Basically what we usually do before we do any rehab is we go in and clean it up and get all the garbage out of it. And in this particular case, we cut down, bushes around the front of the house so we can get to the front of the house. And, there was a swimming pool, a built-in swimming pool that had a bunch of leaves in it. So we got all the leaves out of it and got a cover on it, we cut the grass, just that kind of stuff. It was nothing extravagant, other than if we decided we wanted to rehab it, we didn't waste any money.
You have to
Right?
do
It
that
was
anyway.
prehab. Yeah.
Right. And got rid of all, estate sales, sold a bunch of stuff, threw stuff away, cleaned the house out, cleared it out.
Right. So that means we had to get dumpsters, and I had to get a crew of guys down there, and they had to like empty the house.
Yep.
Right. So here's what I did: is I borrowed. Now I paid $110. I borrowed $115. Right. I don't have my calculator here. So
it wasn't 125?
I'm sorry, 125. Yeah. What did I say?
150.
Oh no, 125.
125.
So if you do 125,000 divided by 260,000, that means that the lender's in at 48%.
Yeah.
Loan to value ratio. What lender would not want to loan money at 48% on a house?
Yeah, it means he's safe and secure. He's not over leveraged. Anything happens, he sells the house, he gets his money, and everybody's happy except you.
He drops to his knees every night before he goes to bed and says, I hope Bill doesn't pay. Okay? That's what happens at 48%. Okay?
That's funny than what I said.
I borrow $125,000. Here's how it played out.
Yeah.
So, ironically enough, for the prehab and my closing, it cost me like $7,800. We'll say 75 just for math, right? It was like $7,800. So I had the house completely cleaned, looking good. It looks like a whole different house. I got all the bushes off of it. I got some trees cut down. I got the grass cut. I got the pool taken care of. And the inside, I even had the cleaning girls come and made it smell good. Vacuumed rugs, kitchen clean. It just looked old. So the first profit center I have, which is what I have, this is how I lived for quite a while, especially when my wife had cancer. This is how I made money because I wasn't working that much, is I would over borrow I would buy a house cheap enough that I could over borrow the private money and I could keep some of it to live off of. So in this particular case, I kept 75 grand of the private money.
Oh, 7,500.
I'm sorry, 7,500 of the private money.
Yeah. Which is good because,
So now I own a house, right? I have a payment, but I push the payment off for 30 days or for 45 days or 60 days. I push the payment off for 60 days. The way the loan is structured is I did this intentionally, which is not what I advised to do, but it's what I did, is I pay interest only on the money. So I pay $833.33 per month on this money. I immediately put signs out, house for sale, no bank qualifying. I immediately, when I say immediately, within a weekend, 3 or 4 days tops, I meet a guy that is going through foreclosure and needs to get out of his house by the end of the month, which is like 8 days later. So you would think that why would you rent to a guy that's in foreclosure? Well, because I ask questions and I do background checks and I do a whole bunch of stuff. The story goes in a short way. He had broken his back. He was a construction guy, broken his back, and he was out of work for a year with no insurance. Anyways, with the help of his dad or his in-laws or whatever, he comes up with 10 grand down, actually 12 grand down, because it's 10 grand plus his first month's rent. I'm going to go over that in a minute, right? He comes up with 10 grand down. So I already have 7,500, and I just now within 30 days, I think it was about 3 weeks, I had 17,500 in my pocket. The 10 grand he gave me plus the 17,500 I kept from the private lender. Am I going okay? Too fast? Am I okay?
Well, hang on. Do the numbers again. It was about 7,500 from the lender. 10 grand
the buyer gave me money down was 10 grand.
And the 2,000 for the first month. But think of that. You made $17,500 buying the house.
Right.
Not, and then just starting to sell it the very first month.
And he's a construction guy, so he had no problem doing all the work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't tell you what happened because it'll take up too much time, which I don't want to. But I usually ask, how much can you afford? Now I'm thinking I need $1,800 a month
Mm-hmm.
because that's how much his mortgage would be,
Okay.
right? So I said to him, how much could you pay? He said, well, we were paying $2,200 at the other place. I said, well, you're in luck because I'm charging $2,300.
Yeah. So don't talk yet. Let that sink in. First, you just asked what he could afford. That's weird. People say, how much is the rent? You go, well, how much can you afford? It's almost like you're doing him a favor to see if he's okay to pay something. But if you can afford that, why not?
So you have to be the most ethical person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be around me, you want to deal with me, you don't have to. You could do whatever you want. But if you're going to be in my world on Bill's planet, you have to be the most ethical person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him it was $2,300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote the contract, what I did, and I'm going to explain all this, I'm going to break all this down. It's going to be, you're going to want to listen to us a few times and write the numbers down, I'm sure. Because I'm getting feedback from all the other 8 or 10 deal structuring things. I've talked to people. They call me. They text me. They're listening to these numbers and they have questions about them. So I know you guys are listening to this, right?
Yep.
What I did is I wrote the contract that his rent was $1,800 and he was giving me $500 a month in down payment assistance, which is $2,300 a month. Because you have to be the most ethical person in the room.
Right. So
but I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you why I did that. Because as much as I'm giving him, I'm also taking.
Mm-hmm.
So it counted for the $2,300. So the $500 counts towards his purchase. The $500 a month comes off of the $240, which is now $230 because he gave me $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I'm paying $833 a month. 833.33 a month on principal only. So on 125, you take 125,000 times 9% divided by 12, you'll come up with that number.
Sure.
Okay. I still pay that. It's been 5.5 years later. I'm still paying. Taxes are $4,800. Insurance, I think, is $1,800. So that's around $550 a month. Now, when I first did this deal, the insurance was not $150. It was $120. And the taxes were not $4,800. They were $4,600.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers were different than today.
Yeah.
If you take all that added up, the 833.33, the $400 for taxes per month, and the $150 for insurance per month, that gives you a total payment of $1,383.
Mm-hmm.
You minus that from the $2,300 that I'm collecting, it's $917 a month. This number used to be a little over, was $1,036 a month, but because taxes went up, and yes, you don't have to text me, you don't have to do anything. I could easily go up on his rent when the taxes go up, but I don't have to. I mean, hogs get slaughtered. What is that saying? Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, or something like that.
Yeah, all those things.
So that means that so far I've got $17,500 a month. I'm sorry.
In the beginning,
At the first 30 days, I got $17,500 in real bankable cash.
Mm-hmm.
It's spendable cash.
Mm-hmm. Non-refundable. Okay. It's yours.
Right. Our monthly payment brings us $917 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling you I've had this deal for 5 years because I did it in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Twice he's come to me and told me he's going to refinance it. He's going to go to bank loan. I told him I'm ready.
Sure.
Okay. My loan with my private lender was only a 5-year loan. Okay. Now, if you're worried about the 5-year loan, there's one of 3 things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk, which I did. I could talk to my lender and say, now they know you can pay because I've made 60 payments and he's never had a problem.
Sure.
His exact, I should pull up his text and read it to you. His exact response is, because he used to be a coaching client. His exact response is, well, Bill, I worked on this for about a total of 3 hours, and you've been paying me $833 a month for 5 years. I'm thinking that I should keep doing that.
Yeah, duh.
So we signed a new 5-year. We extended the 5-year contract another 5 years.
Okay.
So that's the first way. Second way is you can go get a DSCR loan, right? DSCR loan. I forgot what they mean. Let me go look.
Yeah, me too. But it's some kind of special loan for.
It's like for investors.
Investors. Because you can get a loan anywhere, but it could be expensive. But this one is especially made for investors that you found.
DSCR means debt service coverage ratio. Debt service coverage ratio. What that means in layman's terms is they're looking at, Rocky got it. Debt service coverage ratio. Thanks, Rocky. So what that means is, and regular language, right, is they're using the income of the property to give you the amount they can. I mean, they appraise the property, but they're giving you the income based on. It's not done with your credit. It's based on the property.
Right. It's what they do with commercial properties. If it's like a business. If it's making money, they feel safe. Right. If the numbers are okay, they feel safe. If the numbers are horrible, they don't want to lend.
They look at it more like a business than real estate, right?
Yeah. Just like a bank wouldn't give you 140% of your house. These guys know the ratios. They know what they're doing, and then you borrow money.
Just be aware that these loans, when you are buying a property, they need 20% down, and you're going to need about another 5% for down payment money. So you need about 25% down. If you refinance, I think all that money goes away. Now, we're at 48% loan to value ratio. Why wouldn't they want to do that? Right? And I'm making $917 a month.
Well, the ratio is even higher now because the appreciation on the house. That house went up in value. Isn't it over 400,000 now?
It's like at 400,000 right now, 387.
Yeah, so the ratio is even more now. It's like 25%.
So that's the second way. So you can go, you can refinance with a DSCR loan at the end of 5 years. Or the third way is, what was the third way? Oh, you can go find another private lender and just take the first one out.
Right. But also you could
of course the fourth way is you can get your buyer to you could sell it either on, like me, I could put this on the MLS and make $150,000 like nothing. Right. But I still have people in there, so I'm not going to do that, right? And the irony of this story is a year ago Christmas time, he calls me on Christmas Eve. I was in bed sick as a dog with COVID. And he calls me, and there was a big tree out back and it fell on the house, and it did $113,000 worth of damage.
Yeah.
And we did the work. My insurance company paid it. We did all the work, and he got $113,000 worth of brand new shit, brand new roof, brand new living room, brand new doors. He got a whole bunch of stuff, right? All right. So let's keep going. So hopefully that covered what you do with the private money. So I took a 5-year loan, $833 a month. Cash flow is $917. So that means over the course of 5 years, I collected $17,500 for down payment money and from my loan. The $917 is $11,004 a year profit, right? Over the course of 5 years, it's $55,020. Okay, so money now is $17,500. Money monthly is $55,020. $55,020.
Oh, overall, yeah. After the 5 years, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, I don't have my calculator in here. I should have brought my calculator in.
I have one here if you want me to do it.
So how much is I got one. 17,500. I use my phone. Plus 55,020. So far we've got $72,520 made.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And no rehab.
Yeah, and no rehab. Now, the money later is a little confusing.
Mm,
And I'm going to explain that. I'm going to probably spend the rest of the podcast going over this because it's a little bit confusing.
okay.
The reason why it's confusing is because in his contract, it's not confusing. It's only confusing when I explain it. It's really simple when you do it, right?
You just have to run all the numbers.
Yeah.
To do a little math.
Right. So in this particular case, back then, I don't do it now. I do 0.25%. But now, back then, I was doing 0.5%. So I would give them the first year,
Mm-hmm.
the lease, because they got a lease and option. The option said the first year he could pay 240 grand.
Yep.
Minus the 10 grand he gave me, so he owed me 230.
Yep.
Okay. I was doing simple math because I borrowed 125, and I'm like, okay, so he owes me 230. I got $100,000 in profit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I owe 125, he paid me 230. I'm going to make 100 grand, right?
Sure.
But it doesn't work that way. So I have in the contract that on month 13, the price of the house goes up 0.5% per month.
Mm.
So that's 6% per year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been there 5 years, right?
Yep.
So the 6% is 13.8 per year.
Mm-hmm.
Times 4 years is $55,200. Because we didn't give him the 6% the first year we didn't charge him the 6%.
Yep.
So the 6% or the 0.5% per month.
Yep.
Because I always do it per month so you can prorate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means for month 2, 3, 4, 5, it's $13,800 a month. The price of the house goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens if the market goes down, Peter, and the prices are not that high? Would you still charge that?
No. I mean, you know, the reality is a few years down the road, things change, everything adjusts because it's not, you don't live in a vacuum. There's a bank that would have to appraise the property. They'd have to agree that it's worth it to give the loan at 80% or whatever he needs. So you can adjust things.
So you could take it away, or a lot of times what I've done is if the house doesn't appraise, I'll tell people, okay, go get the money from the bank. If it's enough to cash me out, I'll be like, okay, and then I'll write a note for the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
A promissory note. Sometimes they pay it, sometimes they don't. I'll file. I got a couple notes on houses that I did 15 years ago that they must still own the house because if they didn't, they're going to have to come to me to get a payoff. I've got a $10,000 note on a house in Plainville, Connecticut.
Oh,
that
so
I just put it there because if he goes refinances it or do anything, there's a note on there and they're going to have to come satisfy me.
Yeah, they go to sell it and it's like a lien against it, clouds the title, or it's in the town hall. They go, oh, you owe this guy 10 grand. Like, okay. So if they sell it, you get your money. I get it.
Or some portion of it. It may not take 10 grand. I could be a hard ass, or it might take 5 grand or 3 grand or 8 grand. It's found money, whatever it is. Because I did it 15 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So backing up. So the 6% or 0.5% per month for 4 years is 13.8 over the course of 14 years. So 13.8 times 4 is $55,200.
You know, I just added that to the 240 original price. It's only like 295, but it's worth more than that. So, you know, adding something like that in a contract isn't like, aren't you a horrible person? People ask me when I work on lease options with people, what if the value of the house goes up? Why would I sell it at this price three years down the road? So that's why it's smart to build that in to keep up with not just inflation, but just the appreciation that houses do. It's still under what the value is right now.
All right, so we're not done yet because remember, we're giving this guy $500 a month down payment assistance.
That's right.
Right? So you're going to take the $500 a month times 60 months, or you could do it times 12, which is $6,000 a year, or you could do times 5, it's $30,000.
Either way,
So
yeah, 30 grand.
you have to give him a credit of $30,000 because he's paid you $500 a month in the $2,300 a month payment. He's paid me $500 a month in down payment assistance.
So he goes to the bank and they say, "How much did you put down?" He put down 40.
That's right.
Altogether.
He put down the original $10,000 plus $30,000. So he's put down $40,000 in this property. So he'll have a good chance of getting a loan.
Yeah, and you'll give him, a receipt or invoice or something that states that he did that, and it's attested, so it's official.
Right. So the money later is calculated this way, just to make it easy.
Yeah. We
had a $240,000 sales price. We took off the $10,000 down payment, so he owes $230,000. Plus, we add in the appreciation of $55,200. That means he owes us $285,000.
Yep.
Okay. Now we remove the down payment assistance of the 30 grand, which makes what he owes us $255,200.
Oh, well, that's not bad. Actually, that's a damn deal for this guy because the house is worth so much more than that.
Right.
Wow.
So he owes $255,200. Then we need to pay the private lender the $125 that we borrowed.
Okay.
Right. Which leaves us with a $130,200 back end later money. So it's money now, money monthly, money later. So our money later is $130,200.
Yep.
$130,200. Okay. So now we have all three numbers. Money now is 17.5.
Yep.
Oh, now we're doing a 5-year deal because this guy's been in this house 5 years and he's still there. He may go another 5 more years. I don't know. He's told me 3 times he was going to cash out and go get a loan, and he's not done it.
Yeah.
Right. Money now is 17.5. Was the $10,000 for his down payment plus his 17 plus $7,500 from the lender.
Yep. And the $2,000 first month.
Well, that paid the rent. That paid the first month's rent.
Okay, different number, but
that was part of our money monthly, right? It was $2,300 actually. So he gave me $12,300, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So money now is 17.5. Money monthly has added up to be $55,020, 55,020. Money later is $130,200, so it's $130,200, 130,200. It gives us a grand total of $202,700.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
But wait a minute. We're not done yet. Because first of all, I still own the house. I haven't sold it yet.
So you bought it with the deed and everything.
Yeah.
So now what else?
Did a closing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I don't have principal reduction because I have an interest-only loan, which I've been talking about going to get a DSCR loan, which I think I'm going to do because then I could pay principal and interest. So if I get a DSCR loan, I can reduce principal every month and I would make more money. But with my lender, I'm not doing that. I'm just paying interest only. So there is no principal reduction. But as you bring up, the DSCR loan is, even if it's going to be less than 9% interest. It'll probably be 8% interest.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying interest only. I would be paying principal and interest. So the payment will go up. But like what you said, because it's a 30-year loan, the payment will go down. Because it's amortized over 30 years. Because I'll probably take $150,000, get another $25,000 out of it, right? And then have a lower payment or have about the same amount of payment that I have now. But the difference is if I do a DSCR loan, then I could pay back my original lender the $125 I owe him, and I could be paying principal reduction. That's just a what if, okay?
Sure.
But right now, I am getting depreciation.
Mhm.
So the numbers are we save you the closing costs when we talk to a seller in a grand slam offer. We're not doing that here.
Mhm.
The second number is we get principal reduction. We're not getting that here.
Mhm.
The third number is depreciation, and the fourth number is appreciation. So we get 2 out of the 4 extras back end money,
Mhm.
right? So the depreciation is $1,835 a year. Okay. So for 5 years, it's $9,173.
Yep.
So that means our grand total, as of now, 5 years later, is $211,873.
It's crazy.
So I don't know what you think, but I doubled the money in 5 years because they paid $110.
Yeah. But you didn't pay it out of your pocket either. You financed all of that.
Well, even if somebody did pay it out of their pocket, even if somebody had the $110,000,
Yeah.
they
Well, what
can
else are
pay
you gonna?
themselves back. They can pay themselves back the $833 like I did.
Yeah. Well, what else are you gonna do with $110,000? Buy a car or two?
Right.
You know, buy a house, make money on it.
So
Hmm.
that's using private money in a creative real estate deal. See, what we did is the breakthrough was we used the cash formula
Mm-hmm.
to buy the house. So we used Mayo, 70% time, 70% minus repairs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'll do it again. ARV times 70% after renovated value, which was our 240, times 70% minus the repairs. And then I probably went lower than that. My number's probably lower than that. Right. And I made the guy an offer of 110. Actually, I made him a lower offer. I wanted to pay 105, but I settled at 110. I borrow 125. I do the prehab. I go in and clean it up. I keep 7,500. I get 10,500. I get 10,000 from the seller. I make 917 a month. And then because of my paperwork, I make another $55,000 with appreciation. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I borrowed the money from my private lender for 5 years. And the private lender just extended me another 5 years. So that means he gave me a 10-year loan. Do you think I could just leave this thing alone for another 5 years and make another $130,000, make another $200,000 or $211,000? That means I would make $422,000 in 5 years from now. $422,000. Where are you going to make that kind of money?
Yeah.
No money out of my pocket. The only thing I needed to do was get on the phones, know my scripts, talk to them, and do exactly the formula, the 4 steps. Find a motivated seller, tell them what I did, find out what's needed and wanted, and give them an offer.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to do to make all this money.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I needed to do. I didn't need to do anything else. I didn't do the renovation, the prehab. I wrote checks. I went down there to check, make sure the guys were there. Right.
Well, you got to do
Now,
something, or else you'll feel you're stealing the money.
right. Yeah. Nowadays, we have apps and stuff that we can control the contractors with. We don't even need to go there. Like when we do virtual deals, we have apps where they have to take pictures, and when they take pictures, it gives times and dates and GPS coordinates, so they can't bullshit us. So they actually have to be there and they have to show us things. If they don't get paid. Right. I mean, nowadays it's much easier than when I did this deal 5 years ago because that shit didn't exist.
I even did a kitchen renovation a couple of years ago when I was out of state for a couple of months.
Florida. You took a sabbatical to Florida for 2 years. 2 months, and you did a kitchen.
I did 2.5. Yeah, it was, which is a little like, can I do that? And I managed. I had a couple of guys I knew, and hired the rest of them. And it was phone calls. It was take a picture. Like, wait a minute, the crown molding at the corner isn't finished. It's like blank. Like, yeah, we'll fix it. My boys would show up and like everything's okay. So you can do it.
All right. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help myself. I just crawled up on my soapbox. And here's what I have to say. What in the hell is happening in your life or in your head that makes you believe that you can't do this deal? What's going on?
Can I throw something, a little wrench in there? Not a good wrench. In case anybody thinks, well, I don't have $110,000. I don't know anybody who does. Are you kidding me? You don't have family and friends that work at the engineering place, at the insurance company? My boys have money stashed. People have money stashed that they can't use. It's a retirement.
To your point, even if you went to get a DSCR loan and did this deal, you would need, we'll say, $25,000. You could almost do that on credit cards. You could do that with borrowing $5,000 from 5 friends. You could do. I mean, what is Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich say in his video?
Well, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it.
So the problem we have is, I know you can conceive it because for about 10 or 12 podcasts, I've been doing nothing but deal structuring. Hopefully you can conceive what I did with this deal. In other words, you can picture it. Conceive it means you can imagine it. You can actually see it. You can visualize it. You can feel it. You know it's true. It can be done. I mean, I don't know what you know about me, but I'm not going to lie to you. I have paperwork to show these deals.
No, I was in that house. I saw that house. But you know what? There's something you do that might be helpful at this point. Because I know people, they'll go like, but I don't have 110,000. And they stop right there. Or I can't because, and they just stop right there. You mentioned something a year or two ago to me or more, that when you have a problem, you go like, what can I do about that? Like, I guess I can't do it. Like, whoa, slow down. Think about it for a second. Oh, maybe I could do that. No, that ain't so good. Okay, keep thinking. If you just sit there and let it sit in your head, do not give up. Just keep thinking like, oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to find somebody to watch my dog, on the weekends because I got to go places. And I forgot that Mary's nephew's new girlfriend loves the dog, met us once and said, I'll take her on the weekends. And we forgot. Like, wait a minute. That's free even. We'll buy her lunch or something. Anyway, just think, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? You will find a solution. It might take a day or 5 or a week or 3. Keep thinking. You will find it. Do not give up.
Rocky says that's why I'm here.
Okay.
To conceive it.
These are answers. These are solutions.
So what Peter's saying is I call it, it's a solution game I play with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a problem, I think of a solution, and then I think to myself, nah, that's not good enough. It's like solution greedy, right? And then I think of another one. And you're going to realize that if you do this on all your problems, it's not till you start getting the 7, 8, 9, 10 solution, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th solution, that you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't do the first one because that would have cost me a lot.
Yeah, first solution could be, I'll just quit. I'll just borrow it. I'll just leave. It's not good all the time. It's so easy.
So I know that you're stuck on that, but I think this call on the money. I don't know that that's 100% true for everybody.
No, I'm just wanted to put those 2 cents in because that's just, you solved all the other things one way or the other, just in case.
The point that I want to make is people don't believe they can do it. They don't believe they can find that deal.
Yeah.
They don't believe they can talk to them on the phone the way I do. They don't believe that they can do the paperwork. They don't believe they can find the money. They just don't believe. But you know me, Peter. I'm that guy that jumps off of a 5,000-foot cliff, and by the time I get to the bottom, I've got an airplane built.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely me. I know everybody's not like that, but You could literally sign this deal with somebody, get 45 days, and then not do the deal. So why wouldn't you put yourself in that position? Right? Just sign a contract and then just go for it. And what's the worst that can happen is you don't perform on the contract and the guy gets pissed off at you, but you walk away, can't do nothing legally.
We've talked about this a few times, but I think it bears sticking it in here too. Do you expect somebody to do this on their first or 100th phone call and have it all figured out and do everything perfectly well? Hell no. No. And what I do as a music teacher is I try to get somebody to play a teeny piece of a song correctly, then a little further, then do the next part, and eventually the whole thing. So you do the same thing with this. Just work on the first part so you can do that. And then if you get that, so you can get the next part going. See how far you can get. Get 4 steps, 3 steps in, 2 steps. Next time you'll do it extra if it has to be that way. You might get lucky the first time, pull it off. My first deal was a little condo that made me 40 grand plus. I didn't know what I was doing. Bill almost bought it from me. But I managed it, you know. It wasn't a big deal. But
here's the thing. We need to go because it's at an hour. So
yeah.
Here's the thing. I talk to people because they ask me about my coaching program, which is not a lot of money. Comparatively speaking, it's not the 30 and 50 grand that others charge. It's nowhere near that. Here's what I get. Well, I'm going to go do a deal and use that money to pay you, Bill. But they get a deal like this and they don't know how to do it and they go away and I never talk to them again. So this is the reason why coaching is so important, because I'm going to help you put those numbers together. I'm going to make sure you have a deal like this put together. I'm going to be your safety net. And very often, what did Peter just say? Peter just said probably the most important thing in the podcast. He said, Bill told me he would buy this deal from me.
Yeah.
Because it was that
good.
You
don't buy that, I'm going to buy that. Then I'm going to buy it.
And the guy's sitting right there in front of us. We're sitting in Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm like, Peter, if you don't buy this deal, I'm going to buy it. So make up your mind right now.
Yeah, I was a little nervous about it, but turned out fine. So, well, Bill will buy it. I'll take it.
So anyways, here's my point. So $211,000, 873. 211,873 for 5 years. That means it's $42,374 per year. And this is not like with our lease option. This is not imaginary money. This is not, I mean, only 9,000 of it is tax rebates. The rest of it is all cash. It's all real money. Okay. I'd like to know if somebody got $17,500 in the next 30 days, what that would do to their life. So here's my point. If you did this deal in 20 hours, you would make $10,593 an hour. If you did this deal, which by the way, that's how much I made, because it probably took me not much more than 20 hours. And that's only because I did the prehab. Other than that, I would have done it in 10 hours. Yeah. 5 or 10 hours.
Yep.
If it took you 40 hours to do this deal, you would make $5,296. If it took you 80 hours, I'm being ridiculous now, you'd make $2,648 an hour. If it took you 160 hours, which is a whole month, which is absolutely ludicrous, you'd make $1,324. So here's my question. If you had a job that paid you $1,204 a month,
an hour?
$13.24 an hour. Some people have a job that they get that a whole week. If you had a job that paid you $1,324 an hour, what excuses would you make then to not go to work? Would that thing you have to do for your parents really be that important? Could you find another way to do it? Would that thing you need to do for your children, could it be put off, or could you do it another way? Or could you find some other time to do this? Would that consideration that you have that your feelings might get hurt when you talk to the seller because you don't know what you're talking about, would that melt away? Could you figure out how to get the $125,000 if you knew you were going to make $1,324 an hour doing it? Could you pay me $600 a month for coaching when you're making $1,324 an hour? What's going on in your life that you're giving up that money? And all it is what Napoleon Hill said. If you can achieve, what is it?
If you can conceive it.
Conceive it. You can believe it. If you can conceive it and believe it, you'll achieve it. So either you can't conceive it, it's not real to you, or you just don't believe it. You don't believe in you. You think less of yourself than we do. Because I'm telling you, this was literally for real, probably 2 30-minute conversations with this seller. 2 30-minute conversations with the seller. After I closed him, it had everything to do with talking to my lawyer, writing a purchase and sales contract, doing the prehab, getting the money. All the 20 hours I'm talking about was not convincing the seller because I had the formula. I found and spoke to a motivated seller. I told them what I do. I buy houses. And there's much more. It's much more than that. Yes, I am a buyer. I found out from him what he needed and wanted. He wanted all cash. His sister died. He lived in another state. He didn't want any bullshit. He just wanted the money. And I made him an offer. Step number 4, I made him an offer pertaining to what motivated him. In other words, in step 3, what he needed and wanted. Now, I don't remember what he was asking. He probably was asking me $150,000 or something like that. And I told him I couldn't pay that. I could pay $105,000, but I could close in a week. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but
I would bet $1,000 it was goddamn close to that.
That was all money in his pocket because his sister gave it to him.
Right.
Just to have it done in a week and walk away with $100 and some thousand. How terrible is that for him? But he couldn't sell that house with a realtor. It was a mess. The realtor would come in. You got to fix this. You got to clean that. You got to rehab that. You need stainless steel. What's the 3 things the realtor asked when you first talked to them on the phone about their house to sell? Stainless steel floor, appliances, marble countertops, and you have wood floors.
Yeah.
No, sorry. So he couldn't even sell it that way.
So my point is that it was more than the money for him. Right? And that's what we do is we sell problems. It was more than the money. Yeah, the money was a factor and a big factor. But the fact that he didn't need to come to Connecticut, he didn't need to do anything. I sent all the paperwork to him. We FedExed him paperwork. Now we would use DocuSign, but he did nothing. Yeah. I did everything for him, including mailing, depositing him a check in his bank account, a direct draft. All right. So hopefully I made my point. The question I need to ask you is, what are you doing in your life that's keeping you from making $1,300 to $10,000 an hour? You need to ask yourself that today. When you're going through your life today, you need to say to yourself, what am I doing today that's more important than making $10,000 an hour? What can you do in your life to make that kind of money? I mean, maybe be a doctor. Okay, go to a 6-year college then.
Yeah.
Maybe be a lawyer, a defense lawyer. Well, go to 6 years worth of college and 4 years worth of experience. Where are you going to do that? By listening to a podcast and listening to my numbers and at the worst case scenario, I get my coaching. And I walk you through those deals. You never have to worry about it. All you have to worry about is just getting the deals and bring them to me, and I'll tell you how to do it. Where are you going to get that? All right, so make sure you like us wherever you're listening to us. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure if you have a question, you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and use a support ticket. And make sure you join us next week at 9:30 a.m., Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And ask us questions in the chat if you so desire. And I hope you flourish and prosper this week. And we'll talk to you on podcast number 396. So over and out. Thanks, Rocky. You have a good day, too.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.